Hello, Barmy Badger Army.
Hey, Badger Army.
Welcome to another episode of On the Bench with my permanent co-host, Mr. Nick. Indeed. Thank you once again, Nick, for joining me with these collaborations each time.
So distinctive, I don't even need a last name.
And I do enjoy you being a permanent guest host.
I enjoy being here too.
Indeed. So now on to today's shenanigans.
Yes,
There's been a lot of things going on.
Lots to talk about and not much time to talk about it
Not
because
much
we're running
time at
very
all.
tight for time.
Tight for time, indeed. So this is going to be fun. Right, okay. Now, in notable mention, one of my favourite wrestlers who battled the immortal Hulk Hogan, King Kong Bundy. He died the other day, which was real sad. Of course, we've had Keith died the other day as well, which is really upsetting.
I love how we're referring to him like we know him.
Well,
he's
he is
referring
from
to
Essex.
Keith Flint from the Prodigy, people.
Indeed, yes.
You'll have seen our On the Bench video where we talked about just how much of an impact they had on not just the Essex music scene, but also
worldwide. But yeah, and if you haven't watched that, of course, watch that, of course. And of course, we were going to talk about someone that's died very recently as well, that's synonymous with British culture. And Nick's going to take over this one because he knows more about her than myself. But she was a famous presenter, wasn't she, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, the name Magenta Divine probably won't make a lot of sense to our younger viewers, but she was a big part. She was a regular on TV in the 80s and 90s, and early noughties as well. She was probably best known for presenting shows like Rough Guide, and I think another show called Network 7. But she also did. She had a very distinctive voice, and she was also very well known for wearing large sunglasses. So
very interesting.
I'm paying a little bit of a tribute to him with my reactor lenses.
Brilliant.
But yeah, she was the kind of presenter whom, you know, she didn't even need to try hard to be animated. She just she was a very kind of like cool, laid back presenter.
Cool. I like that
but
sort
she
of person.
But she always engaged the viewer,
that's
no matter what
when
she was
they do
talking
that.
about. So,
when they can do that, it's fantastic,
yes.
isn't it? When they can draw the audience in.
As an aspiring presenter, you know, that's what I look to as well.
Oh, fantastic. And, you know, so she was really notable. Do you remember what channel she was on and stuff?
Well, Rough Guide was on BBC 2, I think.
BBC 2, okay.
She did quite a lot of shows on Channel 4. She was synonymous with the youth TV movement.
That's right, yes, I've got you.
80s and 90s.
Ah, the youth.
Yeah, she was nowhere near as like trying hard to be outrageous like a lot of the presenters from that era were.
So a lot of the time, obviously, with BBC 2 at the time was quite an alternative channel, wasn't it, Nick? Well,
yes,
this is what you've got to remember.
There was a lot of there was a lot of that. You know, that was the kind of culture that they were tapping into at the time.
Because of course, BBC 2 and Channel 4, when they first started up, were very alternative, very youth. Very, you know, interesting the way they did it, the different programs, the documentaries. It was very exciting to watch BBC 2 and Channel 4 at the time. You know, what's that name of that show that was on in Channel 4? Eurotrash.
Eurotrash, oh my goodness.
Eurotrash reminded me a lot of that sort of subculture of really exciting, really alternative programming. Stuff you don't really get now, to be honest.
And it was also on very late at night for good reason.
Most definitely.
But yeah, I think, to be honest with you, where there's a lot more channels now than there were.
This is true,
You know, a lot of that youthful element has continued on to BBC 3.
That's right,
to E4. You know, so there's a lot. So it's spread out a lot more now.
So it's harder to notice, which is a shame, I think.
Well,
you know,
to be honest with you, it's hard to notice. It's hard to get noticed in anything.
Most definitely.
Now, because it's also fragmented, so expansive, and
there's a sea of media, isn't there? There's literally a sea of media. You know, you can have it 24/7.
And at the same time, it is more accessible. You just need to know where to look.
This is true.
Carrying on with one other, of course, passing this week was Luke Perry passed away.
Yeah, 90210 phone.
Yeah. I didn't watch Beverly Hills 90210 myself, but he and Jason Priestley were battling it out to see who was the biggest heartthrob from.
Most definitely, most definitely. I
so-
believe Voice Legend reliably tells me that he voiced a 90s Mortal Kombat animation, which is a bit of a
Wasn't aware of that.
no, which is a bit of a cult thing connected in with him. So he's famous for more than just Beverly Hills
Oh, of course,
90210. So it's interesting with the fact that that's his most notoriety thing, you know. But obviously with the release of Mortal Kombat 11, people are talking about the cartoon again as
Yeah,
well.
I remember it being in a pizza advert.
Do you?
Yes, he was in an advert for Pizza Hut where the program was talking about her dream man, Luke Perry, and she, delivering her pizza, and then she pushed him out the door and just finished the pizza.
That's weird.
I'm sure he doesn't actually remember that particular episode of his life very fondly, but never mind.
But never mind, dude.
So-
and there's quite a lot of other things you want to talk about in the short space of time.
Well,
Shrove Tuesday as well. for one
Shrove
of them.
Tuesday. So did you have pancakes on Shrove
I
Tuesday?
did, young man, I did. We had banana, chocolate and squirty cream ones, which was really nice.
Good for you.
That was really nice, yeah, it was really tasty. And I did it so the chocolate was in the batter, so the dairy milk like sort of oozed in. It was really nice.
Yes. Today is World Book Day.
Most definitely.
My niece and nephews. One of them is dressed up as Corky the cat from the
Oh,
Dandy.
okay, yeah.
My niece is
Interesting
dressed
choice.
up as Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate
That's
Factory.
cool, yeah.
So hopefully she won't be turning violet during
Most
the day.
definitely not.
And my youngest nephew, he's wearing it kind of makes him look a bit like Dinosaur. I can't remember for the life of me what character he is, but he's happy doing it, you know.
Yeah, it's great. Badger Jr.'s gone as a character from What the Ladybird Heard, one of the robbers. I think it's Lanky Larry or something. It's really
We
hilarious.
should pay tribute here because the boss has done all his makeup.
Most definitely. Big shout out to the boss for that.
So you'll have to post a photo of that later because
Indeed, yes.
because it is truly something to behold.
It's hilarious, yeah. So if you want to see a picture of that, let me know.
The one thing that I would say is it's great that we've got all this dressing up. You know, it's really good. You know,
it's
really good
fantastic,
fun.
yeah, it's really
but
funny.
Another thing to say is encourage people to read.
Most definitely.
Read more.
Most
it's
definitely,
I
yes.
say this as someone who needs to read more. I have books
Most
at home
definitely, yes.
that I have still not actually picked up and read.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's a shame.
To my shame, yes.
That is a
But
shame.
They are there and they will get read. I'll have to blow the dust off them, but I will read
Most
them.
definitely, man. You've got to have a go. I mean, that's the thing. Even if you just read 1 or 2 pages an evening, it's really good to exercise it. I mean, I'm the same. It's really hard to fit everything in, but I am really trying to read more now. I'm getting back into Stephen King. Really big fan of like old school horror books. So I'm going to be reading more Dennis Wheatley, H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, all those sort of guys. James Herbert. All those sort of ones that I really used to enjoy, I'm going to get back into. So
stuff.
yes, please do, guys. Even if you just read 1 or 2 pages a night and it takes you a whole year
Pop one in,
to read a book.
Pop a book
Just
in
do
your
it.
bag, you know, and if you find yourself bored at work, take a book out. It's what people
Indeed.
used to do back in the
Most
day.
definitely.
And
Most
It's
definitely.
one of the old-fashioned things that is worth bringing back.
Most definitely. I would say, you know, I know it's very tempting to check your phone all the time. I do myself. But maybe just instead of checking it one break, make sure one break you read the book instead and then check the phone for the rest of the time.
Exactly.
I think that's an interesting way of doing it. Maybe. Might work. Let me know, guys. But yes, it's very interesting. It's been a very busy week in the news,
Yes.
hasn't it?
Tomorrow is International Women's Day.
International
which
Women's
is-
Day, okay.
Which, before we should point out, it's not International Men Are Crap Day. No. International Men's Day, in case you're wondering, it's November the 19th.
Ah,
so
there you go.
do not spend the full day complaining about when that is because we've told you. But it's one of those days. It's good when it's done right, when it pays attention to women in other countries who have to work in slavery conditions.
Most definitely,
when you have
yes.
countries with like ridiculous laws like women not being allowed to drive. I know we joke about women drivers, but
Yeah, that's it.
going too far.
That is going
And
too far.
I think it's just it's good to. Yeah, I think the reason that we have all these international days is because it's a time when we can make that a focal point.
Most definitely, I agree with you there.
And I think if we spend, because the thing is, we could start campaigns all the time, but then people would be saying, "Oh, what about this? What about this? What about this?" You know, so it's good. So you know, we might laugh at like national days and how they're basically excuses for TV shows to have segments on things and stuff like that.
Indeed.
But this is how talking starts. This is how awareness of campaigns starts.
Most definitely, man.
If you've got a focal point that you can put that on,
Yeah.
then you know that's a good thing. You know, and yes, there are so many campaigns flying around, you know, but it's good. But you know, the reason that we have these days is so we have something that we can make a focal point. And
Most definitely,
and that is a good thing.
Most definitely, and I'm going to leave that there by half comedically saying and half seriously saying, what day do you think should be in the media and in that to celebrate? Let us know what you think, guys.
Chances are the day actually exists.
Most
so,
definitely,
yeah.
so let us know. But I want international sit at home drinking wine with your cat day. Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments below. Bye for now, Barmy Badger Army. This has been such a busy segment this week. It's been so chatty. Comment on anything you fancy talking about in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now, Barmy Badger Army.
Bye for now, Badger Army.
Bye from the Badger, and bye from
Nick.
Bye.
I'll come up with a funny nickname at some point soon.
No, you won't.
Watch me.